So who is ready for a fun game of this or that? Hello, and the warmest of welcomes to today's video. For those of you who haven't seen my face before, hi, I'm Nick, fab to have you here. Those who have seen my face before, thank you so much for joining me again. I hope you're enjoying my videos. I put out videos roughly 3 times a week on a range of different topics, anywhere from fashion, slightly more personal topics. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, then please do head down, hit subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. I love chatting with you all. I'm all about living life loud, and what that means to me is being your authentic self, being proud to be you, and just celebrating who you are. Celebrating yourself, and of course, celebrating others. So, I finally put up a little bit of festive decor. Pink, of course. Silly me, forgot to put the lights on first, put all the baubles on and went, oh, the lights. Oh well. Next year. So there we go. I'm not taking it all off. It's not happening. So a little bit of festive decor. I've also got these really cute like pink penguins. I can show you actually. So look how cute. My little glittery penguin. I've got a silver one. I've got a pink one. They are just so adorable. Love those. Anyway. Enough about that. That's not what we came here for. We are here to talk about this or that. And I decided to ask all of you if you had any kind of items that you wanted me to compare and contrast, brands, anything really that you wanted my thoughts on, my opinion on. So I'm going to give that to you, okay? So I asked on YouTube community, I also asked on Instagram, so I have collated what the responses were so that we are able to see what's going on. But let's just get into it. This isn't a tag or anything like that, but by all means, if I have fellow YouTubers watching who would like to use this list that I was given, I'll pop it down below so that you're able to use the same examples. But also, by all means, you could create your own. So here we go. Let's get into this. I have written them all down in one place. So, Gucci or Versace? This is easy for me. For bags, Gucci. For everything else, Versace. I gravitate much more towards things like Versace ready-to-wear, shoes, SLGs, but I'm much more of a fan of the Gucci bag range. It just speaks to me more. I prefer the styles, and I think it's more in keeping with their brand as a whole. Whereas for me, Versace, the bags are often a little bit lackluster versus the rest of the items that they have within their overarching collection. Fine dining or fast food? McDonald's was the example that was given, but I'm going to just say fast food in general. I'm a fast food person. It doesn't have to be fancy for me. I'm actually in London this week, and we're going to a quite fancy restaurant in Fitzrovia. And as much as I love to dress up, the thought of eating like fancy food, it just doesn't do it for me. The portions are always too small. You always walk away, you know. They never serve like a really sweet wine because that's normally slightly cheaper, which is more my vibe. So I'm a fast food person. So in all honesty, I'm probably going to go for this fancy meal, but I will have eaten before because that's probably how I'm going to be full. That's terrible, isn't it? But I'm just keeping it real with you all, you know? Okay, Marc Jacobs bags or Chloe bags? Marc Jacobs. Marc Jacobs. The Chloe ones, I appreciate how they're kind of understated, but for me, they're a little bit drab. They're a little bit fussy. There's never been a Chloe bag that I've looked at and gone, wow, yes. So, you know, as an example, as a direct comparison, you've got the Woody tote from Chloe or the Marc Jacobs tote. I prefer the Marc Jacobs tote for half the price. You can have 2 of those. They come out in slightly more fun variations for me. It just speaks to my personality more in terms of the Marc Jacobs pieces. I like the snapshot as well. I think that's a nice kind of camera bag style. They've got some nice flat bags. I just think Marc Jacobs has a more successful bag range for the price point versus Chloe. There we go. Peekaboo or Hermes Kelly? Hands down, Peekaboo. I'm not a Hermes Kelly lover at all. I think it's a little prim and proper For me, I love the fact that the Peekaboo can slouch. I would prefer an ICU. I do like the fact that it has a certain amount of structure, but then can kind of fall open. The Peekaboo I really like is the black and pony hair that they've currently got available. Or I really liked the Monster collection, and I am looking at the Monster collection myself, which is pre-loved, but I am considering a Peekaboo from that particular collection because it's really good fun. So yeah, I'm a Peekaboo fan over an Hermes Kelly. Like I said, I am looking at a Peekaboo. Is it my top choice of bag? I'm not sure. So I just need to see it, and I just need to sense how it would work for me, or whether or not that money would be better spent on something that I know works really well for me, like a Mulberry Bayswater, for example. Valentino Rock Stud or Valentino Roman Stud? Easy. Rock Stud. Loved the Spike collection. I like Rock Stud. I think it's great. It's edgy. It's got longevity to it. It's been around for a while, but that's because it's great. So I'm a big fan of that. Can't stand the Roman studs. I think they are, in all honesty, vulgar, to be honest. I just don't understand. You've got a big bag that has like these 3 really large studs on them, and I just don't like them whatsoever. They've also really lent into that quite pillowy, puffy bag trend when it came to some of the Roman stud. It just really doesn't do it for me. I'm not a fan whatsoever, but I do like the Valentino Spike collections and the Valentino Rock Stud collections. I think those are much more successful. Luxury slides or regular slides? Slides are not worth spending significant money on. They're not. £200 for Givenchy slides, not worth it. I own Lacoste slides. I've owned them for, we're going on 8 or 9 years. Probably, if not longer. No, about 8 years. I think 8 years is fair. And they're still going really well. I wear them a lot. I'm a big fan of them, and they were £30. So I'm a huge fan of that type. So, you know, that kind of mid-range area. I bought them from House of Fraser many years ago, and they're doing me just fine. So why on earth I would need to spend more? I have no clue. I think it's a flex for flex's sake. Or it was the least expensive shoe you could get your hands on, and it had a big logo splashed across it. So it's that kind of, look at me, I've got Givenchy slides on. No, silly. Silly, silly, silly. Even if you have all the money in the world, I think that's still a silly purchase. Okay, Longchamp or Coach? Longchamp. Absolutely Longchamp. In every category, Longchamp to me is superior to Coach. And yeah, I've said what I think about Coach. I did a video on why I don't buy from Coach. It's not because I have any particular gripe with the products or the pieces. For me, if I could sum it up in a word, it's meh, you know, and it's not inexpensive stuff. It's quite expensive. So Longchamp is a better price point, suits my style more. Yeah, I've got a real affinity with the brand, and I don't really feel much need to move away from it, to try something new in that sense. So I'm good with where I'm at. Pre-loved high-end or new from boutique contemporary? This is hard, because I do both. What are we considering contemporary? If we're talking Kurt Geiger, Longchamp, that kind of mid-range, then I think I'm probably going new from boutique, mid-range, I would say. But I do love a pre-loved high-end piece. Yeah, I do. I'm just looking at my bags there, just to get a sense for what I've got from where. I think I'm right to say kind of mid-range new from boutique over pre-loved, but I do love pre-loved high-end as well. I've gotten great Mulberry pieces, great Celine piece. So yeah, and I'll continue to buy from that market, but my heart does go more towards other items. So, and that's just where my budget sits more comfortably as well. So yeah, I would say that. Longchamp Brioche or the Geiger Kensington. Oh, the Geiger Kensington, hands down. For the money, you can get so much more for your money, so many more variations, so much more personality can be expressed with the Geiger Kensington. The Longchamp Brioche, for me, looks like a dinghy, or one of those inflatables that you sit in at the pool. There's this trend going around on TikTok of people going for date nights and having that dinghy that they're sitting in and putting it on their pool and having a date night on the water. I mean, that's what the Longchamp Brioche reminds me of, that float that people are sitting in. So, that's not the most flattering way of describing it, but it's what it makes me think of. The Geiger Kensington, I'm a huge fan of. I've got 7 Geiger Kensingtons, 4 XXL, and I would say by the XXL, it's the superior size. Okay, Mulberry Bayswater Heritage or the newer variations, so the belted or the zipped. I'm going Heritage here. I really love the other two. I think they are beautiful, but I just love the classic silhouette of the Heritage. I think it's a really fantastic piece. The others have the advantage of the fact they come with shoulder straps, so that is an advantage there if you use a shoulder strap and you don't just want a top handle bag. I prefer the top handle only, and technically the Bayswater should be able to fit over your shoulder. It can't quite fit over mine comfortably, but if you have a slightly different frame to me, then you would be able to get it over your shoulder. But I just absolutely adore it. But they are all beautiful. You can't go wrong with any Bayswater style, but for me, the Heritage wins out. Random one in the middle of all the luxury. Cats or dogs? So I am a dog fan. I like cats too. I've been thinking about getting a cat. I really want a Sphinx cat. So if anybody owns a Sphinx cat, are they as much work as people say? I work a lot. Don't have a pet at the moment because I don't think it's fair that I'm so preoccupied. It wouldn't be right. So that's why I don't have a pet right now. I've been thinking about getting one of those Sphinx cats where my life equalises a little bit. But I do love dogs. But I also live in an apartment, so dogs aren't necessarily conducive with apartments. So we'll see. But I lean more towards dogs. My lifestyle would lean more towards cats. Okay, the Dior book tote or the Fendi Sunshine Shopper. The Dior book tote has often featured on kind of bags I wouldn't buy, just because for the money, I think it's stunning, particularly in the shades of pink that you can get it in. Oh, it is gorge. But I would go for the Fendi Sunshine Shopper, and in particular, I would go for the glazed fabric with the inlay, and I'll insert a photo. I just think this is beautiful. Really, really beautiful. The price point of the Fendi Sunshine Shopper, I also think, is a little bit more reasonable than the book tote. You are... Ultimately, once you're in that kind of £2,500 point, they are fairly similar percentage-wise, but every couple of £100 you can save, I think, is a good thing. So why not? Can I afford either? No, I cannot. So this is purely, conjecture. Is that the right word? We'll go with it. But I do really, really love the Fendi Sunshine Shopper. I also really like the fact that it has tortoiseshell handles. I think that just really adds a pop, and it means that you don't run the risk of getting the handles as dirty as you could with the oils of your palms, etc. on the fabric of a Dior. So the Dior would need to have scarves wrapped around it in my view, which I have no issue with. Most of my bags have scarves wrapped around their handles, but I think it would be a necessity for the book tote. So that's another outlay that you've then got if you want to have a brand that matches. If you want to have Dior scarves, that's another £300 for both. So do you see where I'm going with that? Okay, a Louis Vuitton comparison, Neverfull or Speedy. The Neverfull, I think, is an interesting bag. I understand why people like it like they do. Love me like you do, la la, love me like you do. That's one of my favourite songs, by the way, Ellie Goulding. We digress. So I really do like the Neverfull. I think there are better bags out there, better totes out there. I've got a Mulberry tote, for example, that I think for the price point really trumps the Neverfull. But I can see why people like it. However, where I'm going with this and why I'm waffling about this is I picked the Speedy. I think the Speedy is a really, really nice bag. I love the classic style of it. I'm a kind of top handle person, I wouldn't go for the bandouliere. I would just go for the one without the strap, which, you know, you can, if I were to get it new from boutique, it's less expensive. They also don't go for as much on the pre-loved market because they're less versatile. I'd aim to get a 35 or a 40, probably in a classic monogram, I would say, because I would be that person. So there we are. Crossbody bags or flat bags? Hands down flat bags. For me, they're just more versatile. Other people will disagree, but I also think a flat bag can often go crossbody. If you buy one that's a double shoulder, so a double shoulder flat bag for me is a must. Where you've got flat bags that just have one long shoulder strap, that I'm not a huge fan of. For me, it has to be able to be shorter shoulder, crossbody, you know, all of the above. That's just a much more versatile way of me having the bag. Now, I tend to carry a flat bag by hand or on my shoulder. I very rarely wear them crossbody, but it's nice to have the option, isn't it? So that's where I'm at with that. Let's talk about the seasons, summer or winter. Now, I prefer fashion in the winter because I'm someone who loves layers, but I prefer summer as a season because I'm impacted by the fact that it gets dark early and light late. That I struggle with. Only having, you know, 8 hours of daylight for which you're probably working the majority is difficult for me. And even today, it's really grey and a bit drab and a bit dreary, and I don't love that. So I love layers, so I love winter fashion, but I prefer summer as a season, and I would sacrifice the love of winter fashion to have more light, more heat. Yes. Okay, Jacquemus or MCM? MCM, hands down. Jacquemus, to me, there is nothing that I see in Jacquemus that I've ever thought, I love that. Never, nothing. I think the Le Chiquito bags are ridiculous. They're also quite expensive for that. I mean, I know mini bags on the whole are expensive, don't get me wrong, but for me, like 500 quid, whereas I think about what I could get from MCM for that money. I mean, I'm an MCM fan. I didn't think I was cool enough for it originally, and I've now really lent into it, and I need to buy more from it. It's definitely on my list to get more from. So yeah, I'm enjoying that brand. Not all of it works for me, and some of the designs I look at and go, ooh, where were you going with that? But on the whole, I'm a fan. So MCM wins out. Okay, we're down to our last 3. Thank you for sticking with me. We are on Classic Monogram or Monogram Eclipse. Monogram Eclipse. I think the Monogram Eclipse is gorgeous. And Connor from the channel The Closet very recently bought a Monogram Eclipse piece. It's lovely. I really like the Monogram Eclipse. And I wish they brought it out in more styles. If I could get, for example, a Speedy in Monogram Eclipse, I would love that. I don't know why it doesn't feature in some of those ranges. I think it would be so popular. I think it would do wonders for them, and it would maybe dilute some of the saturation that you see for the other canvases if they just had a couple of other canvases. Do you know what I would adore? If they did a black base with a pink over the top. Oh, that would be stunning. And I know that some of you will be saying, but that's what the Murakami was. But I just think black with just pink LVs would be incredible. Or pink with black LVs, that would be incredible. Pink with white LVs, white with pink LVs. That would be stunning. Louis Vuitton, call me if you want to talk. I just think that would be stunning. But yes, Monogram Eclipse. I do like the classic, don't get me wrong, but I also really like the fact that the Monogram Eclipse has black leather. I think that does make a big difference. I'm not sure how I'd get on with Vachetta. I don't like to baby a bag, so I could tell you now, mine would patina quickly, mine would have rain marks on it, mine would not be looking its freshest for a long time. Last 2, Goyard St. Louis or Forêt Lepage Daily Battle. I've heard awful things about the Goyard St. Louis. I think aesthetically it's nice enough. I've heard it's really lightweight, which is good to carry, but I've heard awful things about the quality of it. Therefore, For me, from an aesthetic perspective, I'd go for the Forêt Lepage Daily Battle. I've heard good things about the brand. I like the fact that it's less expensive. I would get it in the sand colour if it were me. I just think it's a better all-round. You can get it in different variations, which I like. So that would probably be where I would stick my money. And finally, another brand comparison, Alexander McQueen or Moschino. I like both, don't get me wrong, but for fun, whimsy and playfulness, I would go for Moschino. I would love to wear an Alexander McQueen suit if I ever get married, but I think in terms of the overarching aesthetic of the brand, Moschino works better for me. It's very playful, it's very fun, it's very vibrant, it really doesn't, it's very emboldened and it's not conservative, and I like that a lot. That suits me, that works well for me, and a lot of the brands that I buy into, you know, sat here in a pink faux fur Karl Lagerfeld piece, I like that about them. So that's probably where I would go there. So there we have it, everyone. That was a little bit of a fun this or that game. I hope you've enjoyed. Like I said, I'll leave the list down below. So if you want to either leave in the comments what you'd have chosen, and we can see where we agreed or disagreed, or likewise if you have a channel, etc., and you'd like to use this list or a variation of this list, by all means go for it. I've done the work, so you don't have to in terms of compiling that list, but let me know what your thoughts are, and I can't wait to see you in my next video. Take care, everyone. Bye now. Mwah.